Well, hello to all you cool cat and kittens out there. We have flesh-eating bacteria everywhere. It is everywhere here right now. Not just in Florida, but in New York and Connecticut as well. 5 people in Florida have died due to flesh-eating bacteria. Like and subscribe. It helps in the algorithm. Give a comment when you're done, all that good stuff. And I will get into this. I appreciate you guys watching. 5 people have died so far this year from flesh-eating bacteria, according to data from the Florida Department of Health. The bacteria, Vibrio vulnificus, can cause necrotizing fasciitis, an infection that causes painful swelling and blisters over a wound site. It's often contracted in seawater when someone has an open wound. Doctors say the aggressive infection is somewhat rare and can come from different strains of bacteria. Warm summer waters in Tampa Bay or the Gulf of Mexico provide ideal growing conditions for the bacteria. Those who have the infection can feel flu-like symptoms of fever, dizziness, cold sweats right away. Severe complications are common, like sepsis, shock, and organ failure. Not good. Growing up, we were always warned about this, and it was more of like a fear thing. Basically, they're like, don't go swimming in stagnant ponds. You'll get brain-eating amoebas and flesh-eating bacteria. Well, you can get it just from going to the beach in the right conditions. Hot water. I like warm water. I like swimming in warm water. I like 90 to 95 degree water. I do. I like bathtub hot when I go swimming at the beach. It's kind of gross, I know. But it's really freaking hot. It's like close to 100. And that's not good. That is a perfect breeding ground for these little friends of ours. Even with treatment, 1 in 3 patients dies from necrotizing fasciitis, according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Since 2010, the agency says between 700 and 1,200 people a year have contracted the infection in the United States. So far this year, 26 cases have been reported in Florida, just this year. That's down from 74 cases reported last year. Yeah, but the year's not over. Oh, well, I mean 26 versus 74. Okay. A lot. Never mind. 17 people died in Florida in 2022. 5 deaths reported so far this year came from Sarasota, Hillsborough, Pasco, and Polk counties, according to the Florida Department of Health data. People don't have to be in the water to catch this, although that is the most common exposure. One Tampa Bay man contracted the bacteria from a human bite. Ugh. Most healthy adults will be able to fight off necrotizing fasciitis infection without intense hospital care, doctors say. It's the elderly, children, and people with compromised immune systems who are more susceptible to infection if they have open wounds or lesions. Isn't that basically everything, though? Like, there's very few things that will kill a healthy adult. Like, that is, like, there are a few things, obviously, but those are like it rarely ever happens to a healthy adult. I consider myself unhealthy in the fact that I'm overweight. But besides that, I fight infections and stuff like that. My immune system is good. The easiest way to avoid contracting the infection is to wash your hands regularly. Also, avoid going into warm saltwater or brackish water, hot tubs and swimming pools, and eating raw seafood like crabs, oysters, or sushi. Yeah, I love sushi. I don't eat it too much, but I love it. Crab is very good as well. Oysters, I have to eat them fried or cooked or some way. I don't like raw oysters, but raw oysters is one of the main ways that people get them from seafood. Speaking of which, 3 people have died after infection with a rare flesh-eating bacteria in Connecticut and New York. At least 3 people have died in Connecticut and New York after contracting a rare flesh-eating bacteria that can be found in warm, brackish, or raw shellfish. Warm, brackish water, raw shellfish, officials warned Wednesday. 2 people in Connecticut became infected with Vibrio vulnificus and died after swimming at 2 separate locations on Long Island Sound, according to Christopher Boyle, Director of Communications for the State Department of Public Health. A 3rd person was infected in July after eating raw oysters from out-of-state establishment, according to the Department of Public Health. All three were between 60 and 80 years old, according to the department. So old people. I mean, that's just, it happens. Bacteria has been also detected in an individual who died on Long Island, Governor Kathy Hochul announced Wednesday. Officials are still investigating the death of Suffolk County to determine whether the bacteria was encountered in New York waters or elsewhere, according to a news release. So Vibrio vulnificus comes from the same family of bacteria that causes cholera. So, yeah, all over the country. Warm waters will also do the brain-eating amoeba, but that you have to get it basically, like you have to jump in the water, when you get water shoved in your nose and you have to cough it out because it's in your sinuses. That's how you get the brain-eating amoeba, if it's at like stagnant, warm pools of fresh waters where that happens. But it's the same concept, something that you have no idea you got until you got it, and you're like, oh, and if you don't get things taken care of right away, with the brain-eating amoeba, once it shows signs, like rabies, you're pretty much done at that point once you start having symptoms. But with all that being said, don't go swimming right now. It's too hot. The water's too hot. There are consequences to swimming in hot water, and that sadly is flesh-eating bacteria. And this is the world that we live in. It's always been the world we live in. It's always been around. So people are going to say, it's because of global warming. It's also El Nino this year. And it's been a mild El Nino. It's been keeping a lot of that weather down. I mean, it's not typical. It's hot. It's going to be hot. Every time it's El Nino, it's hot. And I'm sure there's something to do with a little bit of climate change in there. I mean, it might, but I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Stop pretending like you do too. You're just like, oh, because of the scientists that I've listened to, I know everything about global warming. They don't know anything about global warming. Every single time they make a guess, they're wrong. Everyone's wrong. It's just a freaking guess. No one knows anything about it. So stop standing on your high horse every single time I bring up global warming and saying things like, what do you know? You're not a scientist. Yeah, you're right. I'm not a scientist. That doesn't mean I can't talk about things. Okay? If you want to prove me wrong, you want to show me how stupid I am, then show me how stupid I am. Links, an article, whatever. Don't give me the same bullcrap. 90% of blah, blah. Yeah, they also said the same crap about COVID. And there's a lot that didn't make sense about that. With all that being said, I bring that up because of the global warming part. I know that's going to be the reason why people say it's because of the global sea temperatures. And they are. They've been hot this year. But this happens every year. Just we don't hear about it as much. And it just happened that 5 people in a small area have it all at once. There's a severe outbreak. But, people have died throughout history from a lot of things. This is a hot year. And I hope next year is not as hot. With all that being said, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Keep it wild.